Hey guys, Chris Dunn here, aka the Boogie Man. This is the last and final episode on installing the axle in the 64 Comet. We're going to touch a lot of things in this episode, things that you didn't see and we didn't show you, so we're just going to walk you around a lot of things that was done between filming. First thing is, we had to clip this whole frame out and put in a whole new section of frame of 2x3 to even attach our axle and to clean it all up to get our steering box in. You know, that was something we really wasn't expecting to do. It's no big deal, but that's what we had to do. We're going to talk about steering in this episode. We're going to talk about bump steer, the little stabilizers we put on these things to keep them stable. We're going to talk about shocks. So hold on, stay tuned. We're fixing to dive right into it. If you've noticed, and what you can see here, we're rear steering this straight axle. That means rear steer means that the tie rod is on the back side of the axle. Front steer, rear steer. We made our rod. We had to use some store-bought arms, which we had to modify and do some grinding to clear. And then we've added this little Volkswagen stabilizer. This little stabilizer right here is a must on these straight axles, street or strip. Sometimes these things will just have a mind of their own and it just hit the wrong bump and they kind of go into a erratic vibration, or should I say, I don't know, a wobble. These things really help take that out. What these are Volkswagen, let's say 1974 Super Beetles. So a 1974 Volkswagen Super Beetle steering stabilizer. That is the best ones. They got an eyelet already on this end, and they got an eyelet on that end, and a 3/8 bolt to go through both of them. So you can go to your Advance, your AutoZone, or your local bug parts guy. They all got them, but it's just to say a 1974 Super Beetle, not a standard, a Super Beetle steering stabilizer. They work perfect. We'll walk you through what we do here. We also make this bracket that goes onto the tie rod that you just loosen it up with hose clamps. The reason you do that is you just loosen this up and you can adjust your toe in and not even mess up your bracket here. So you just loosen these hose clamps up, turn it clockwise, counterclockwise to get your toe, or your toe out, and then just tighten these back up. We'll show you that in a few minutes, walk you up under there. Next thing, when we set the toe up on these cars, on a rear steer car, I toe them in a 1/16 of an inch. Toe in means if I'm looking down this way, it's toed this way. It's actually toed in, going down track. And the reason I do that is this rod here will compress and all the joints slack will come out, and so it'll actually be just about right. And it's a 1/16 of an inch. You'd be surprised, and it starts pushing and compressing that tie rod and takes all the slack out of the joint. So always try to set them a 1/16. Some people say a 1/16 to the 8. I try to get them right at a 1/16, but you can go a 1/16 to an 8 towed in and for a rear steer car. It works really, really well. As far as the steering box, the steering box on this car is a lot bigger than what we used to use. Lots of times we use a reversed Corvair if you're going to do what I say a side steer, or you use a Vega box if you're going to do, side to side conventional style steering. This right here is an upgraded box that I've started using. It's a little on the heavy side. This right here is a Borgeson box. You can get it from Summit. So it's almost like a universal box. It's almost like a Camaro box. Is about what it's on, I'd say the level of about a Camaro box. But it's a good American-made box. These are good, high-quality boxes. They don't give no problems. Now, they're a little heavy, but that's okay for these gassers because, it ain't a little weight ain't going to hurt nothing. On a street gasser, man, just put you a good gas-filled Monroe, some good name shock, and that's all you need. But when you're building a drag car, and we're building a drag car gasser, we use a double adjustable. I've liked since day one for 5 years now. I've run Viking shocks. Now, I run Sandhuff shocks on the back of my car. I run Viking on the front, but we started out running Vikings on the back of my car. In fact, we was the first person at the SEG to have Vikings. They're a super good shock. They're economically one of the best shocks out there, especially double adjustable. The good thing about this double adjustable shock is you can literally use it to tie the front of the car down. And so if you've got a lot of wheeling issues and you want to keep the front end tied down a little bit, you can, you can tighten up your rebound and slow that up. I've done got now where we don't even, on the Boogie Man, we use front shocks to do everything. We don't really mess with the rears no more. Meaning that if I get to a track, let's just say I'm blowing the tire off a little bit, and I want a little bit more traction, then I'm going to slow the rebound up and let that front end come on up, and that's going to throw weight on the rear, and that's going to help me track and get some bite and go. Let's say I'm overhooking, which people say they ain't no, yeah, you can overhook. Then what I can do is I'll tighten the rebound up on the front of the shock, and I'll slow the weight transfer back on them rear tires, and I can make it actually loosen up and blow the tire off a little bit if I want to. A good front shock, double adjustable on a drag car gasser, it's a must. I mean, you're just so much you can do and never have to crawl under the back of the car. You can do everything with these front shocks. So just remember, these are Viking Warriors. They make a Viking Crusader. That is a more expensive shock with custom valving. Man, you really don't need it for the gassers. You really, really don't. Stick with the little Warrior here. It's a good shock. Call the guys at Viking. They're badass. We just went over the car a little bit, and it's a lot to try to go over in one episode, but we're going to talk about steering. And steering in these straight axle cars and these gassers, there's something called bump steer. What causes bump steer in one of these cars? Bump steer is the wheels jerking left or right. All right, just, jerking. When you leave on one of these cars, wheels in the air, like you like to leave. If you got a gasser, you need to be leaving wheels in the air or you're a puss. I mean, that's the whole reason owning a gasser is leaving with the wheels in the air. When the wheels come up and the suspension travel relaxes down, this drag link right here, which attaches to your spindle, to your steering box, angles down like this. And what happens is of course, if it pivots down, it pulls the tire. That's bump steer. How I try to eliminate that the best I can is when I set the car up, I put all the weight on the car. The last thing I do is shim the drag link, because the drag link is what causes bump steer, okay? So I wait till I get all the weight on the car and I roll it around, and I always build this when I'm doing it where I can put spacers in here, or I can put spacers right here and move the bar up or move the bar down. In a perfect world, what you want when this car is setting, ready to race, okay? Sorry if this is a very crude drawing. I hope it's you guys understand it. And remember something, guys. If you ever have a question, leave it in the comments. We will answer it, I promise you. We will do a Q&A part of these videos just to answer questions, a little segment. So if I didn't explain this good, because I'm just an old country boy and I try to make things as simple as possible. If you don't quite understand what we're talking about, put it in the comments, leave a question, and I promise you we will try our best to address it the next episode or two, and we'll get you took care of. Going back to this, what I prefer is I like the drag link pointing a little downhill toward the steering box when the car's loaded and ready to race. Why do I like that? I like it going downhill because when she leaves and the car picks up and the front end relaxes, then what happens here, and maybe the best way to look at this, what happens here is this drag link now looks like this, okay, which is going to jerk the tire. Well, if you start a little downhill already, when the front end comes up, that drag link will either fall level or just a smidge past level, which gives you a very minimum bump steer. So in a perfect world, like I said, this is your spindle, okay? This is your steering box. We want the drag link to be pointing a little, let's say a degree or so downhill toward the steering box. Downhill, okay? So when like I said, when she loads and she picks up, this will pivot down and it'll have very little bump steer. If you have a bump steer problem with your car, you need to look. Lots of times people's got the bars are running up like this right here to the steering box, and they can't figure out where the bump steer comes. If you ever got somebody takes a picture of your car and you leave and your wheels are turned to the right or the left, that's bump steer. That's because this bar is already at such an angle when the front end unloads and comes up, it gets shorter, of course, and it pulls the tire. So this is always try to set this up as level as you can or a hair downhill. I prefer, like I said, and I'm just going to go, you know, a hair downhill, like a degree downhill. So as it comes up, think about this, as the front end drops, because the car's raising up, this will become level, and then maybe a degree down over here. I hope I've explained that as simple as I can. But like I said, if you ever have any questions, man, you guys out there, just put it in the comments. I promise you, we'll do what we can to answer it. If I have to send you private messaging to answer the question, you know what I mean? We will answer the question. So always in steering, we don't want bump steer. Like you can look at the car when we walked you around it a while ago. You right now, the camera guy is going to show you that the tie rod and mainly the front axle and the drag link are almost level with each other. But we ain't loaded the car yet. So when I load it, it's loose to put shims in it. I'm going to shim the steering box side down, or I'm going to shear the spindle side up. When this car leaves tomorrow, I will take pictures and you will see where I've got that thing, where I've got the drag link. Because the drag link is the key to setting it up properly to eliminate bump steer. Chris Dunn, aka the Boogie Man.